Well, welcome everyone to this episode of the podcast. Beau is back. Today, we're going to be talking about the 2006 beloved movie, not really beloved, the movie Eragon. The adaptation of the book. If you have not listened to the book episode, go back and listen to it. Do you remember watching this? Did we go to theater to watch this? I've
Yeah,
been trying to I think we did, right?
yes. I
Because
remember
we
like
always
I
went to
think
the
we went
movies.
opening weekend too.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna do on an island?
Yeah, was that.
Do you remember your initial reaction to the movie if 2006 you were what, fourth grade, third grade?
I was 8, whatever that means.
Yeah, third, fourth grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember
Uh,
your reaction?
I remember not liking it,
Yeah.
or like also like I don't think I was cognizantly like aware that like when you make a movie out of a book, like especially a big book, you have to cut things out.
Hmm.
It's like I imagined it to be the book just on screen, and
Hmm.
uh, I was very not happy
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
and it would have been that suboptimal movie if they just changed the name. Like it was just like a, a standalone thing. Like it would have been fine.
Hmm.
But because it's supposed to be like the book,
Because you have the emotion attached to the book
yes,
and the memory.
there's that. But like it's like Lord of the Rings. Like they cut things out, right? Because it was massive,
Yes.
right? They just like cut chunks. But like they didn't make Gimli tall or like there's like some fundamental things that just
They kept the essence. Yeah. So what I love about this movie is like it shows the power of a good adaptation. And like a lot of times, like during these episodes for the last year now, like there have been like some really good adaptations that change so much of the movie, but the essence of the movie and the themes and the basic plot is still there. There've
yeah.
also been some adaptations where they've changed nothing and it's bad. So I really like this movie in the way that like it really shows how bad an adaptation can be. Because I remember when I first started like this idea, everyone's like, "Oh, you got to do Aragon," because everyone hates this movie.
Yes.
And like honestly, when I rewatched it, I was like, "Yo, it's I mean, it's not good. Don't get me wrong. This is not a good movie, but for 2006, it is not that bad."
And so I was kind of like digging into it because like I know like I was looking for the internet for more objective reasons on why the movie sucked instead of
Hmm.
like my emotional
Yeah,
baggage.
yeah,
And it came across like so the director, this was the first and only movie he's ever directed.
uh-huh.
He was like a
But
visual effects artist for 15
yep,
years.
yeah, he did Terminator 2, and he did Jurassic Park
Yes.
visual effects, which is amazing. I mean, there's a lot of practical effects in that movie, but still.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting that like whoever thought it'd be a good idea to put what could have been a $1 billion series, right, at
Hmm.
this point with 5 books.
Hmm.
Like this could have been like Lord of the Rings 2.0.
At the time, though, it was only two books out, the first two. The third one was coming out after this movie.
Sure.
And like it was a hit within the YA sphere, but I don't think it really had hit peak Aragon like fantasy book lovers, or like it was just hitting that peak, you know? So like, and also remember 2006, we've had Lord of the Rings at this point, so which very much affect how they film this. Like there's scenes in this, and I'm like, this composition is
Mm-hmm.
straight out of Lord of the Rings and or Star Wars. Like the way
Yes.
they're set up, and I'm like writing that down, which is, I mean, I loved it because I was like, Lord of the Rings, this is pretty cool. But like, they haven't at this point, I don't think Hollywood had really found the value in these kind of like coming of age fantasy movies because those hadn't really done well in the box offices. They're like just doing well. Like, because after 2006 until like 2000, like what, 15, every other story is based off a book or, superhero or fantasy or like all the Twilights, etc. Right. So I think the placement of when they decided to make this movie, and then I think you're right, getting a first time director who's talented in other ways, but like I think maybe they're trying to save money. I don't know why you did get a director that never directed
Yeah,
for
and
this.
I get the I'm all about giving somebody their shot, right? Cool.
Yeah.
But like there'd be a difference between like first time like directing a big time thing, cool.
Hmm.
But first time directing ever, that's like
Yeah.
hiring a personal trainer to be like an NBA coach. Like
Yeah.
you're skipping a
But
few things, bro.
the directing, it's not the worst, the directing part. What stands out in here is that the writing is bad. Which like the director, from my understanding of how films work, and someone can correct me if they want to, if they follow me on Instagram at Read the Book First podcast, then
Like
you can correct me. But I'm pretty sure like directors have influence on their writing team, but like most of the writing happens before, right? So there's just some of this that I don't think all of the blame can be put on the director. I think a lot of it, but I what really stands out to this movie is how bad the writing is. And not just like, it's not like because this book, you know, we obviously know from the last episode that I didn't really like the book for some of the writing stuff, but it's not like they just took lines from the book and that's why it was bad. It's that they changed things that didn't make sense.
yeah, I guess when I watched it as someone who would categorize themselves as somewhat of a knuckle dragger, the
Hmm.
writing didn't offend me because I kind of speak in broken English as it is, so like it didn't bother me whatsoever.
Yeah.
I just could never get past like how fundamentally like not the book it was. Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. That
I
was
mean, right at the start, it's already different. I remember I started playing it and like Isaac was like, I don't know, be like, haha, you have to watch this. And I immediately had to pause to write notes because immediately it is so different in the beginning. And I was just
yes,
like, I need to write everything down. Like I got frazzled because it starts with a voiceover with the Dragon Rider history, which I think that makes sense. If you're going to cut this huge book into an hour and a half to 2 hour movie, you got to get them that background information. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? So that
Yes.
made sense. The battle scene that they included was lame. And I was like, get a cooler battle scene. And then they name drop immediately the Varden and Arya. Like they're like this elven princess Arya, and I'm like, don't take away her mystery. That's part of the reason that it's so like intriguing. Is like, who is this person, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And like, and the Bard, and I'm like, we're like, we already are on their side. We want to be convinced to be on their side, you know?
Yes. It almost feels like they knew that they weren't gonna attempt to make a second one. So like that's why like the whole Varden like just kind of skipped to it.
Hmm.
Which and I get why you would have to like introduce the Varden and who they are before they do in the book
Hmm.
because you have to cut it down.
Yeah,
But like the first 30 seconds,
yeah, exactly. Like
yeah.
they could explain it slightly later, the Varden part, but mainly I was like upset about the Arya part. Like they took away the mystery, you know?
I agree.
Yeah. And then I thought it was really funny the like title, when they have like the big movie title, Aragon is written so tiny on the screen. It's just like tiny little Aragon. And I was like, what's it say? I need my old lady glasses. But the shade is creepy as fuck, and I loved him.
I agree. I was looking back at the characters. The only two characters I thought were two and a half characters. I think they did Brom well,
Hmm.
the Shade well,
Yes.
the Aragon as a meat suit.
Yes.
He looks like him.
The actor who plays the shade, he plays Rumpelstiltskin in that Disney like Lost-esque show. What was it? Once Upon a Time. He plays
Hmm.
Rumpelstiltskin. Robert Carlyle. He's a great actor. He was a great shade, and I really liked how in this movie he like starts off looking creepy, but then like as the movie goes, he gets even more creepy, and I was like, that is a good touch. I liked that.
Well, there's that, but then like in the book they do talk about like how when they first run into him and then they like shoot him in the face and he
Mm,
disappears.
hmm.
He comes back more grumpy.
Hmm.
Did they? I'm not forgetting. Did they do that in the movie too? They
I
do
don't
like
know
the
if they
fishing
explained
lane.
it, but they did that. They are like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But
yeah.
I liked his whole vibe. It was good. We have the whole scene where the stone gets transferred with Arya, and the back and forth between Arya and the Shade is very like, I'm gonna get you, and no, you can't get me. It's like very much that vibe. And I was just like, that's the part I was like,
Yeah.
we don't need this. Show, don't tell. Show them fighting, show them struggling, show them magic. Don't
Yes.
say, I'm gonna send it somewhere where you don't know where it is. Just send it.
You should see
And then
that. You can send it and you'll be upset.
yeah,
We can put it.
yeah. We're not that dumb, you know.
We're American, but we're not like Canadian. Yeah.
Hey, it's the Olympics right now as we're recording, and so I'm full USA here. Um,
America. No, 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 no,
I'm
no,
gonna
no.
watch the women's rugby game after we're done with this
Interesting.
because I follow a TikTok person and I want to see her do good.
You follow a rugby person?
A women's rugby person, yeah, she's very
Interesting.
funny. Hmm.
I didn't know expected that.
Anyways,
Okay.
when the egg gets transferred and it lands to wherever Aragon is in the woods, it has like this like fog that's like slow mode, but like really like glitchy slow mo. And I was like, I am in. Give me this crappy movie. I want all of it to be like this. Like, I want this to be like a fantasy show that's on that like fucking sci-fi network that's like so bad. I love those horrible shows. But it didn't go full that way. Like it just tried to be good and it didn't. I want it to be bad on purpose or actually good. And it was neither. That's how I But at this point, Isaac was like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad," and then he sat down and watched the whole movie with me.
What a nice man. I would not do that.
Aragon is like trying to like before the egg like appears, he's like trying to like shoot down a deer. His bow and arrow form is so bad.
Are you an archer aficionado?
Remember when we used to go to family camp with mom and you and mom didn't like doing archery, and so I would spend as much time as I could in archery because you and mom weren't there. Because we went to family camp like 3 summers in a row, and I was like, I need some time before we go and hang out for 4 hours together. So I went and did archery, and I got pretty good at it for, a 12-year-old. Um, so like I'm not saying I'm good now, but I have knowledge. And
Okay.
even like actors in film, like you could tell who's had like someone like tell them how to do stuff.
Sure.
This guy didn't get told how to do it. It's all sorts of wombly. I'm like, no wonder he missed.
Yeah, that's something that like just kind of like how the internet is now.
Hmm.
Would not fly.
Yeah.
Because even like I remember you see it a lot with the maybe it's just because algorithm on the internet. Like 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 when Keanu Reeves was like training for John Wick.
Hmm.
Like there's all the videos of him training with like the gun, the speed competitions or whatever, like learning how to do the actual thing. Um, like early 2000s action heroes. So there's like "Rah, gun pew pew pew."
Pew pew pew. And it's like cuts to, sir, you don't have to say pew pew. We can put the sound in post. Pew pew.
Shut up, I like it.
It helps me be in character. It's not like a huge thing, the whole bow and arrow, but I was just like, it made me laugh. I was like, this guy, I mean, to be fair, he only had to hold a bow and arrow for like 2 seconds. So like it wasn't like it was a big part of his character. Well, I guess he does use it later. Just kidding. He does use it later.
Yes.
Anyways, he takes the stone and then he goes back to his little town and he goes to the butcher. And I like they changed the butcher from being just a straight up dick. He was just like more of a coward. Because like their village in the movie version of Aragon is like occupied by the king's military people so that they can't speak ill of the king. They can't speak about certain things. They are actively, quote, drafting young men to be in the army.
Yeah.
Right. So the butcher is like, dude, don't talk about where you were hunting. Get that weird stone out of here. I don't want shit happening to me. Like he's less of a dick and just a coward. But I think that added to the suspense of like, oh no, bad guys are around. What's gonna happen? You know?
Yeah, which I don't know why that having them like some changes I can see why you would want to make those decisions.
Hmm.
Like I don't think like having the bad people like running around the town like did anything for the story.
I think it, to me, it heightened the like how dangerous it would be to talk about dragons and essentially do what Brahm ends up doing and like telling Aragon and stuff. Like, I think it's supposed to like heighten the drama, and I think it does a little bit. I think the rest of what they do makes it less threatening later on.
Sure.
Um, but then we have this whole bit where Brahm's introduced because he's hanging up these like four pheasants, and the guards are like, "Where do you get these pheasants from the king's land?" And then like that he's like, trying to intimidate him, and Brahm ends up getting him the pheasants. And I think it's a good introduction of Brahm, where Brahm was like sassy pants, but also like not an idiot. Like he's not gonna lose his life over the pheasants, but he will
Um,
kick, like he will stir the pot for some pheasants. You know what I mean? And I think
mm,
it is accurate to Brahm's character. And the actor who plays Brahm is Jeremy Irons, and he does a really good job.
I
I
agree.
think I agree with what you said earlier. I think he's one of the better casting. Oh yeah, that Aragon goes back. This thing part I thought was silly. Aragon goes back to his house, his farm, and he greets his cousin Roran, and they start wrestling because apparently Roran's been like training Aragon low key. It's like what they mentioned, and then they start wrestling, and I'm like, why is the cousin who we don't care about, who we're literally not going to see again after these next two scenes, we don't care that he trains Aragon. Like, it doesn't matter that Aragon has some sort of knowledge now, you know?
Yeah.
Because Warren leaves the next day because he doesn't want to get taken to go be forced into the army. So he
Which
leaves.
again, like he does like there's a legitimate reason that he's leaving in the book, which was like he needs to go like make money so he can
Yeah.
propose to the chick, which
Hmm.
cool, makes sense. Like
Hmm.
you don't need to make up a fake reason.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
And also, like, he doesn't need to be there. Like, he doesn't get rid of Rowan. We don't need the cousin here. Like, yes, he might come back in the later books, but guess what? We didn't get another movie. So for the fact that this movie, you can just be like, there's no cousin there, right? Because we don't need to see him die. We don't need that like emotion to like be a like
Did he
source
die?
of like. No, he doesn't. But like,
Oh,
if you're gonna introduce him for 2 seconds, at least make his death or like disappearance matter to Aragon, where it doesn't matter at all here. Like Aragon gets sad for a second,
yeah.
but that's like it. Um, but Garo, his uncle, tells Aragon to follow his own path. And this is when Aragon's super sad at Roran leaving, and we have essentially like a Star Wars screen. It's Aragon watching the sunset, and it's like the sun's really small, and it's like he's a silhouette. It's like Luke Skywalker on the desert in the beginning of that one where he's sad and the two suns are in the background on the sun setting, and it's just like straight up Star Wars scene. It was beautifully shot, but I was just like, dude, we know where this is from. But also, I liked it. So then what I think is the best part of this movie is when the egg hatches. The CGI of baby dragon is adorable, and I loved it. I thought it was really good for 2006. I thought the baby dragon was adorable, and Aragon being like, "You're not a bird," and I'm like, "Duh, you're not a. It's not a bird." But I liked that. I liked how dumb he was.
Yes, he was.
We get a not a flashback, but we switch suddenly. We get to see Galbatorix. Galbatorix is played by John Malkovich, who's a really prolific like theater actor. But whenever I see this actor in like movies or TV shows, he reminds me of Beau,
Hmm.
Uncle Rod. The way he talks, it's like not like stoic, but it's not stoic. It's like almost monotone, and it's like
Yeah,
very serious.
and like very grandiose.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then like, but the actor, him this actor, especially in this role, I was like, this is how Uncle Rod would play Galbatorix. Is exactly here. It
Yes.
was a little bit uncanny. I was like, this is weird. That's Uncle Rod. Weird. But anyways, Galbatorix is creepy and in his throne room, and I think what part of the reason why this is bad is that they actually show his face because he doesn't really do anything except for yell orders in this book, right?
Correct. Yeah, and that was one of the that did make kind of ruined it because like in the books you don't actually see him until book
Mm-hmm.
4,
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of like one of the more nuanced, like
Mm-hmm.
good things that Christopher Paolini did with his books.
Mm-hmm.
Is, like he named the main bad guy early and just kind of kept him in the shadows.
Yeah.
Versus like some books, like they do the same type of thing where there is a main bad guy in the shadows, kind of operating and running the show, but you don't know who
Mm-hmm.
he is. But like day one, they're like, "Hey, there's this dude named Galby. He sucks. Um, you'll see
Fucking
him.
Galby.
You'll see him in 12 years."
Yeah. And like I think I liked that the main like bad guy that Aragon's dealing with throughout this movie is Durza, the creepy shade. And I think what they could have done is to understand that Durza is not like the big bad, is like if they had like shown Durza like kneeling at someone's feet and then hearing an ominous voice say, get the boy, or stop at no cost, like just some vague demand of scary stuff. And then
Yeah.
that's all it. Then we would be like, oh, we don't know who that is. And then we'd want to like see more. Right. But then as soon as they show his face and show him being like, I don't want the Varden to get hope. Like, I don't want this to happen. Get the boy, get the whatever.
Hmm.
Then I'm like, I'm like less scared because he's scared because I can see his face, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And
I
like
think that was a
he's
big,
not really like a scary. I mean, they don't really go into super detail of like what Galbatorix looks like. They talk, they do go into like almost in a very homoerotic way. I'm not sure if that's the right verbiage. Like eventually in the
Mhm.
book about like how his voice just is like creamy and buttery and like you want to do what he says. Like it's very, it really goes kind
Like
of like
persuasive.
yeah, but like it's that, but like next level. Like
Yeah.
Aragon's like talk like they're about to go down, and everyone's like, I hate him. I want to kill him, but his voice is just so appealing. Or like it's just very strange.
Yeah.
But like
Weird.
the the guy and the actor is just like this angry bald man. Like it's just very kind of underwhelming.
It was. After having the dragon hatch a bit, he ends up just going into the like a local pub at night, like this fucking 17-year-old. I guess what else is he gonna do at this small town? And Brahm's sitting there mumbling about dragon riders. Um, while Aragon's there, just like happens to be there that time. And then the next day, Aragon's going to help the dragon learn to fly. And like as soon as Aragon like gets the dragon up in the air and starts flying, the dragon just like flies away to where you can't see them. And Aragon's just like so sad. He's like, I have like they had talked about, oh, well, who's your mom? My mom also left earlier to the dragon. And he just goes, she's gone. And it's like so sad about his mommy issues with this fucking dragon. Like he's like, my mom left me, and now the dragon has left me, and the dragon's gone. And then suddenly his palm hurts, and then in the sky, this dragon that's like the size of like a corgi at this moment suddenly zaps and is like glow like gets all zapped and like yellow and like explosive, and then turns into a huge ass dragon randomly, and then flies right back and starts talking to him in their like telepathic way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just do a montage. One day he's little. One day it's flying. Like it's gonna take him out the same amount of time. But like just something like it's like he put like a bag of popcorn into the microwave and boom, it's big. It's like a burger, it's like baby dragon and now big dragon. Boom.
Yeah. I, yes. That
And
was
then when
really
it goes boom and grows up, suddenly like you get a clip of like Braum being like, I felt like the force. And then you see like Galbatorix go, I felt the force. And I'm like, this isn't Star Wars. What are you guys doing? They can feel the dragon. Because it's not like their magic is interconnected between other dragons and other riders. Their magic is
Yeah,
interconnected between dragon and a rider, right? It's not the force where everyone can feel a disturbance in it.
correct. Because I remember like in the book, Braun didn't just like know. Like he knew because everyone was asking all these questions about like how would you feed them if one were to happen? And then Braun obviously kind of like knows because spoiler alert, like Braun's his daddy. So like he
hmm
knows he sees it. He
It's just weird. When the dragon turns big and lands and begins to talk to Aragon, she goes like something like, I've been waiting thousands of years for you. My name is Saphira. We have lots to learn about. Like she has a name, she has all this knowledge already of the history. Like she's almost like not omniscient, but like she already like knows so much. Which like
which is
in the book, doesn't like Brahm tell her a lot of the stuff when Aragon's like sleeping or something? Like, I'm pretty sure that's what happens with Brahm, like, hey, by the way, there's these things. Don't tell Aragon until I tell him, but just so you know, you know?
correct. Like she knows something, but like in the same way, like if somebody was in a coma, like people sort of have memories of like the people like
Yeah.
having conversations around them, but like
But
she
like
was kind
not
of
so sentient in the movie where she's like,
correct.
hello, shake my hand. We are business partners. Like that's like the vibe of what it was. And it was weird.
That was the vibe.
That night, Aragon rushes to Brahm's house, and Brahm's like, "Why are you here? Go away. I don't want you here." And like tries to chase him off with the sword. And Aragon like eventually leaves. And overhears the butcher like being tortured by some like creepy mummy guy looking guys, like they're ninjas and mummies combined. It looks like
Yeah,
almost Assassin's Creed looking guys.
yeah.
And they're like torturing him. And so the butcher snitches that Aragon had found a cool stone and the Razak, these creepos.
Again, they just created their own thingamajiggies. Like they have like literally like superhero like tongue things, mummy lashes, which they're
In the
not
book
like
or the movie?
in the movie. In the book, they're more like bird birdlings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so they're like, and they eventually evolve in the same way, like they're like the yin to the yang of dragons. When they grow up, they grow up into basically dragon-looking things, but like they're imagine more like Sparrow the Pokemon, but like angry and evil instead
Yeah.
of
So a
Mummy
crow?
Tree. Yes,
I date a bird biologist. I know all the birds.
wow, a crow. You are educated,
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I understand why they made them humanoid because it's going to be
but
easier.
they are humanoid.
They're human bird annoyed.
Yeah, they're human. They're bird humanoids. So like they
Okay.
run around on 2 feet, but they got like a beak and they
hmm
eat people and they're super fast because they're like birds. Imagine like you know how a Wolverine is like a wolf human.
Yeah.
They're like crow human,
Crow humans. Okay.
and so instead of like running around like a werewolf
Crowmans.
or whatever, they're like running around the beak and just like clicking like you know
Nice.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least they're creepy as bad guy henchmen, whereas the other bad guys aren't really creepy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Well, at this point, we're taking what we can get.
Yeah, yeah, we're taking what we can get, and I guess that's the Razak how they are is how they are. But Saphira snatches up Aragon and flies him away, and she's like, "Stupid boy, you need to hold on." And like he's like almost falling off constantly because he's never ridden a dragon before.
He's never driven a car.
He's never he hasn't driven a car. Um, but they like fly, I guess, far, but it doesn't seem like in the book it's like they stay like a whole night somewhere else, right? It
Yeah, they
seems
do.
like that.
Yeah, they just like go on the other side of the hill, basically.
Yeah. Whereas
They,
here they're like flying for like 15 minutes, they turn around, and by the time they're back, the farm's not on fire, but Brom or not Brom, but Garrow, his uncle, has been killed. And like everything has been like ransacked, right? So he's still, I mean, it's still sad, obviously. His uncle's dead. and he like is super sad. And then Brahm shows up and sees Aragon's scar, and then Brahm is the one that burns the farm to get like be like I guess more respectful to the situation or something like that, or just to get rid of evidence, maybe. I don't know. He tells Aragon to leave on the dragon and that he'll follow, but Aragon's like, I'm not riding on her again because it hurt and I almost fell. And he's like, fine, get on the fucking horse, dude. We gotta go. Your uncle just died. We got to go. Aragon's like, but it was uncomfortable. Brom's like, dude, I'm trying to save your life. Yeah, and then we find out here that Aragon is 17, and that we have this moment once they're like gone and safe. Saphira meets Brom and Brom like inspects her and she's like he's like doesn't know what he's talking about. And then once Brom like compliments Saphira, she's like, just kidding. He's a very smart, intelligent man.
That is very book accurate.
Yeah, that is and honestly, I get it. Yeah. Then we get to see the first time we get to see the Urgles.
Yeah.
The Urgles are so bad. And like it's not even that they're not scary or they're not book accurate. It's like very like xenophobic. It's like they just look like some sort of indigenous tribal group from a different continent that you've never seen. Like that they don't look like creepy, like they don't look like orcs. They don't look like the ram blue monsters from the books, right? They just look like white
Tattooed
men.
Tribal Warriors.
They just look like white men trying to be tribal warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not good. We get kind of a bunch of scenes together at this point. We have Brahm trains Aragon, and Aragon's like, I've been training with my cousin. And then they start to fight, and Aragon loses immediately. And Brahm's like, you're gonna have to learn more, dude. You obviously were not trained. And I was like, yes, Aragon, get humbled. Yeah. Jeez, you don't know everything because you're 17. Silly boy. We have the Brissinger scene where Aragon sees Brahm making fire, says Brissinger their traveling montage, it's like them on the horseback with Saphira flying above them. It's very like Lord of the Ring inspired, the filming of it, because they go over it is really beautiful. I forgot to look up where they filmed this. It's like very beautiful mountains that they're going over, and we see them like a bird's eye view, and then we see like kind of like the profile of them going over the landscape. It's very pretty. But it very obviously inspired by the Lord of the Rings. Uh, you know.
Yeah, but also like I almost feel like how they did this part in the movie is like how they should have done it in the book.
Yes, absolutely.
I,
Absolutely.
I don't know how that would have worked. I don't know how you do like montage overview of this like just kind of like traveling. How you do that in the book.
And they traveled for 12 days.
And they did a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Up until this point, I didn't hate the movie. I wouldn't, this point, like everything before this, like, yes, there have been some changes that are not good. But like, from this point, I'm like, I'm still like not convinced that this is the worst adaptation ever created that like fans have declared it to be. Right. Up to here. I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, there's things that I'm not happy about. But like, I'm still enjoying this movie for what that's worth, you know? Then we
sure.
get to this, after this part, it kind of goes downhill. Similar like the book. Well, no, I like the end of the book. They get to the swamp town. This is the part I remembered from the movie
Hmm.
because there's not really a swamp town described in the book. So I think this is like
Yeah.
I remember in the movie being like, "What swamp? Where are we? Florida? What? What?" And it really like I didn't talk about this in the book, but here it's so out of place, even more so that the in this swamp village there is a fortune teller lady named Angela, this little white blonde lady in this swamp land, and I'm like, this doesn't fit the like vibe of this town. But apparently, fun fact that I didn't know for the book, but Angela is named after the character is named after
It's just
Christopher Paolini's sister. So I understand naming that, but it just in this Angela does not fit the vibe of the swamp land.
no, because she was supposed to be in the big city,
The
beach.
city, yeah.
Which do they
But
even go there in the movie?
no, because it would have been too expensive to build those sets or do green screen of those sets. The fortune that she tells him is very different than the book fortune. There's some similarities, but a lot of it's different. But I didn't hate the fortune. It was dramatic, what it needed to be. And then
Yeah,
there's
well,
an Urgle ambush.
yeah, because like the fortune is of zero relevance until the fourth book.
Yeah. Whereas this one, it has relevance in this movie,
Correct.
relatively. But the Urgle ambush there on the bridge, and we have the Berserker moment where Aragon uses his bow and arrow again successfully
And
this
passes
time.
out.
And he passes out. Brahm teaches Aragon about magic. Also, Brahm gives a saddle for Saphira to Aragon, and that's why they went to that little town, just to get a saddle so that he could fly the dragon and he wouldn't get hurt.
Which is kind of a strange thing because like dragons aren't really around, so like I just like going to the shop and like ordering one on medieval Amazon.
Yep.
Like, can I have this thing that hasn't existed in 300 years
I
and
mean,
don't have any questions?
he might have just bought the leather and then built it real fast, or like took a horse one and added, you know what I mean? I don't know how they actually build it, but it is weird. Like it just suddenly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they totally did that before they left.
Yeah. The Rozek ambush them and they fight them off, and Aragon figures out that Brahm used to be a dragon rider by looking at his hand here. Then we get a flash to a different scene where it's Durza with all the Urgles, and he kills an Urgle with his creepy red fingernail.
Oh, that was baller.
So cool.
That was I do remember that.
Oh yeah, then we see Arya again. Arya is like in imprisoned in Durza's creepy torture palace, and he like uses like his magic to force Arya to give Aragon a message in his sleep, and I thought that was a cool change.
Hmm.
Like I think because like we don't have the mystery of who Arya is, like we we know she's an elf, we know she's a princess, we know she's working for the good guys, we know her name's Arya. These are all things that Aragon does not know at this point in the book,
Yeah,
right? So like her just being like sending this mysterious dream message to help her because she's, imprisoned would not be as drastic or mysterious because we already in the movie we already know most things Aragon will find out about her,
yeah,
right? So I think that's a good way to kind of change that if they've already given us all that information. And it does make Dursa cool.
correct.
Yeah. Um, and like any 17-year-old boy, this girl coming to his dream, telling him to come save him, is now his whole goal in life. And he's obsessed with it. And so he throws a fit and he's like, we have to go save her. We have to go to Gilead to save her. And Brom's like, no, you're gonna die. If you die, your dragon dies. Like, don't be dumb. But he sneaks out anyways and he goes to Tower Castle Fort, whatever it is that they're in. He has like this like Jedi like cloak on walking around. And I was like, I need a cloak so I can be mysterious. It works for Aragon. Um
That's like one of those things where like trench coats, like you see people wear them in movies, you're like, that's sick. And then you put one on in a store, and then you look in the mirror, you're like, I look dangerous, but not in a cool
not in the cool way, more in the fedora way.
way. The fedora,
Yeah.
like as you walk up to like people, they like see you, and then like they move their children away.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
not the kind of danger we're trying to get.
no.
Um, so Aragon gets all the way in there, and as he gets to Arya's chamber, she's like, "No, it's a trap," and like Durza like appears, and like they're trying to like battle, but obviously Aragon's like flustered, and Durza throws a spear, but Brahm comes in last minute and jumps in front of him and takes the spear,
Mm.
and oh, heartbreaking. Aragon shoots Durza in the head. And then there's this mystery guy in a different cloak that comes and helps them escape. And then we have a conscious Arya, which is such an interesting move here, right? Like, I think it's good. I wrote Arya's conscious. This is good. Like, wow, look at this. An active female person. Wow. Not just literal baggage. Wonderful. And then we had the scene where Brahm dies, and oh my God. When Saphira's like, put Braum on me, let him die as a dragon rider and he like flies him, I cried. It was like tears. And Isaac's like just laughing at me. I'm like, oh, emotions. It's so sweet.
I mean, they did do that right, and I'm really glad they kept the crystal tomb thing.
The crystal tomb is also really cool. I like that. So then as soon as they bury Braum in the crystal tomb, suddenly Arya's like, and then she like faints because she's been poisoned. So she was conscious for like two scenes. And then Murtagh shows up. I love Murtagh.
He was a good character.
He's a great character. I don't know what happens later in the books, but I love Murtagh.
He's pretty much Jesse from Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, that's why I love him. He's that
Yeah,
archetype. I know. I understand. Murtagh's like, we need to go to the Varden. They can heal her. I know how to get there. And so they set off to the Varden. And I also like that they don't spend 1,000 hours on this. It's just another montage of them running. I was like, thank God. I don't want no road trips. They get to the Varden and they don't have a tough time getting to the Varden on this one, which is like, I think okay for time constraint reasons, you know,
yeah,
but it does give the Varden less mystery about them.
yeah,
Yeah. They take Murtagh because Murtagh, they don't trust him. Like
yep.
they don't really give a great reason in the movie. And then they start preparing for battle, and Arya is immediately healthy. This is like, cool, got a band-aid, ready to go. And then they have the battle, and the battle is so underwhelming to me. Because the battle's my favorite part of the book.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's Saphira or Aragon, but one of them say, into the sky, to win or to die. And I'm like, okay, poet. Okay, poetry. Yeah, the battle is underwhelming. We also like we meet the like leader of the Varden. I forget his name. We also like meet what's his face, the leader, the guy that gets assigned to Aragon, the in the book,
Orc,
the huh?
Orc, the dwarf dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and he like and also they don't talk about dwarves and they don't really have people there as dwarves, which I think, this book is about humans, elves, dwarves, and dragons, and then all the evil guys. But also I don't know if they could have done the dwarf part without being offensive. You know what I mean? Like, because it like when they did the hobbits and stuff, they were had the time and the money to do the perspectives and to do the stand-in doubles and to do that. So it looked, not necessarily like the Oompa Loompas of Willy Wonka, right? Because those are the two types of Hollywood. When we have like dwarves in fantasy, it's two types of dwarves. They did the dwarves like in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, where it's done well with time and energy. And then there's the one like in Willy Wonka where it's like not wonderful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think it's smart that they didn't really like talk about the dwarves because they weren't going to have enough time and money to put into those characters. Because again, the battle is so short and mainly just like CGI words running back and forth. Yeah, which is a bummer because that the dwarf character from the book, what's his name?
Orc.
Ulrich.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ulrich. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
cool character.
he is.
Yeah.
I agree.
So it's a bummer that he's not in there. And the other characters, we do meet the leader of the Varden's daughter briefly. I was like, oh nice, they're giving her some lines. Look at that. And then that's it. What do you think of Saphira's battle armor?
I mean, I think it is pretty accurate. I don't know how else you would do dragon in armor.
I think it reminds me a lot of a horse's armor, which I think makes sense. But what I had an issue is Saphira as a dragon with no armor, like the CGI of it all, like looks fine. Once she has the armor on, her face looks superhuman to me. Like looks more on the human side than dragon side. And maybe that's just me being a weirdo, but
Yeah, but I mean, like, how else do you? I'm looking at a picture of her face with the armor on it. Like, how else would you do that?
I
But
don't know. It just suddenly looked like it was like a human dragon. I got creeped out. Durza shows up and he has that weird, like spooky shadow creature that he rides on.
yeah, which was Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's good that they had the battle mostly being between Aragon and Durza because we don't really care about the Varden because we've barely met them. You know, like
Yeah,
I don't like that they didn't have the whole like Red Sapphire and Saphira and Arya coming through. Like that part I wish they had.
yeah.
And I also was sad that we didn't get to see much of the city that they're in. The slides are not in their bow. The slides. No slides.
Which is how, because in the book, Severia gets messed up somehow. Like takes a
Hmm.
good gash, and she flies up to the little dragon area, and then Aragon takes a slide down. Which,
Hmm.
what cooler way to enter battle than in a slide?
Ah, I'm so pro slides. We need more slides in the city. Slides in the city. That's a good little joke for something.
Something somewhere.
Something. Someone take that punchline. Thank you. Um, but yeah, so the battle was just underwhelming, but I do like when Aragon kills Durza, he repeats the line Durza had said to him in the chamber with Arya, the I expected more. And I was like,
Mm,
that's a nice, pretty like kill line. Like that's very like Mortal Kombat, like
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Aragon tries to heal Saphira because she's like almost dying. And he tries to heal her, but guess what he does, Beau?
Pass out.
He, yeah, he faints. And then he wakes up and he's back in his little like, I don't know, apartment or wherever he's living. And Murtagh comes over and he's like very sad and solemn. And Aragon's like, "Where's Saphira? Where's Saphira?" And he goes, "Oh, you didn't hear?" And then Saphira flies in. He goes, "Just kidding. She's all healthy. Got ya." And I was like, nice. So Murtagh.
They close all the storyline loops basically,
Yeah.
except for Capritorix. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like what's supposed to happen is like Murtag's supposed to be kidnapped, taken,
Yep.
and then there's like basically poisons Aragon's mind, and then the some secret person off in the distance like whispers sweet nothing into his ears and
Mm-hmm.
keeps him alive,
Yep.
which didn't happen. So like, where are you supposed to go for the second book or second movie?
Yeah. You know what happens instead? Is that Arya and her little elf friends are like, we have to go back to the Elven land. And Arya suddenly has like feathers like in her hair, and the elven guards look odd, just weird guard outfits. And Aragon's like, I hope because he chases after her because she's already headed out and just playing like, and she'll be like, we'll meet again. And that's it. And I'm like, thank God they didn't kiss. If they kissed, that would have ruined the whole movie. And then we see Galbatorix like tear down the curtain because he's mad, and we see the face of his dragon,
Yeah,
which I'm like, nice. But why do we care? You're in your little, you're just sitting in your little castle, doing nothing, you know?
yeah.
And then, do you know the end credit song that plays?
Isn't that Avril Lavigne song?
It's Avril Lavigne, Keep Holding On.
Yeah, I didn't remember. And
Bonkers.
it slaps though. That song,
The song slaps, but it does not fit this movie.
no.
No. The You're Not Alone, Together We Stand.
Instead,
Like, what?
oh, no.
I did listen to the whole song when the credits are playing because it, again, is a bop. But
I mean,
why?
I kind of get it. Like, together we stand. Like,
But I don't care. That's the thing about this movie is I don't care about anyone but Aragon and Saphira in this movie because that's all we get to learn. I don't like I care about Murtagh because of the book. I don't care about movie Murtagh. I don't care about the Varden. I barely care about Arya. Like the stakes in this movie are so low. We don't care, you know? I just want Saphira to be okay. She's a sassy
yeah.
dragon, and I like that,
Sassy dragon.
you know?
Yeah, you're not wrong. No, you're really not.
Yeah. Want to hear some fun facts?
Yeah, hit me with your fun facts.
This movie was the last major film in the United States to be released on VHS just because of the timing. Then everything else was
Sure.
on DVD. But like, if you go into Letterbox reviews, everyone's like, "I understand why they stopped VHSs after this disaster movie. Like, this is why VHS has ended," which is obviously not true, but it's very funny. Apparently, both Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart were offered the role of Brom, but they both turned it down due to them both having commitments to the X-Men: The Last Stand filming that same year.
Mm.
the actor who played Aragon is in the 2024 Netflix Irish Wish movie with Lindsay Lohan, which is if you were to it's Lindsay Lohan in a Hallmark-esque Netflix movie. It's a rom-com. It is hilarious. It is bad. He does a great job in it. She does a great job in it. It's just a bad movie. Not their fault. They do great in it. If you want a romp of a little Irish rom-com, I was watching it and I was like, why does this blonde dude look so familiar to me? And I looked it up and I was like, oh shit, it's Aragon. Look at you, bro. It's been over 20 years or almost 20 years. Look at you. I have to ask, is it a good adaptation?
No.
I agree. I think it's a bad adaptation.
If it was not a adaptation of just a standalone movie, it probably would have just like drowned away into nothingness. Like,
Yeah, but because it's connected to the book,
yeah,
yeah.
sad.
I think the first half is a good adaptation. I think they could have made better choices, but I think up until Durza gives makes Arya give Aragon the message his sleep. Up until that moment, I think it's a good adaptation. The second half of this movie, I think, just spirals into trash. Because I enjoyed the first half of the movie.
Yeah, what was the first time? Was the Harry Potter the first like real successful like part one, part two movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that was the last movie, which happened after this.
yeah. So like they probably could not have.
I think this would have been better as a TV show.
Yeah, even with less good graphics.
I think this would be it would have been better as a TV show because you get to keep more stuff in and like the side characters that show up for like two scenes could be there for half an episode and like that's enough, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think and I you mentioned this and Disney does have the rights for the TV show.
According to his YouTube channel, they're working on it. But like I've seen Hollywood produce like decide to produce something and spit something back out and like that is like halfway decent, like 6 to 8 months. Like doesn't
There's
take
a
that.
lot of like right now in the like the post-COVID Hollywood world, there's a lot of like they call it like uh production like hell because like they get it like filmed, but then like all the like editing, the ins and outs of the contracts, all of that shit will kill a movie still. Like there's a lot of it going around. So like I think right now, I think Disney is trying to get the rest of the money they can with all the Star Wars franchises that they can. And then I think they're gonna ride the Percy Jackson show franchise out. But like that first season is good. You should watch it, Beau. You'll love it. And I think then maybe they might come back to Aragon. Because it's
Yeah, I
been
guess
long
you're right.
enough. I think people have forgotten about the movie, besides that they watched it and didn't like it, you know?
Yeah, but also like I guess you're right because like they if you have too many like awesome things out at once, like you're cutting viewership.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're gonna wait till the Star Wars shows kind of wrap up and
Which is like could be forever because there's
there's so much.
yeah, like the books are like infinite.
Did you enjoy watching the movie again or reading the book again?
Not really.
Oh, I'm
Well, I really
sorry.
enjoyed reading them again. Reading like watching the movie again. The only thing I have to describe it is like there's this restaurant in Anchorage
Hmm.
that somehow is still around. I'm not gonna name names,
Uh-huh.
but it's terrible.
Uh-huh.
It's like a restaurant bar, mostly bar, that kind of serves food, and it's people go there because it's cheap drinks, but the food is just like known to be horrendous.
Hmm.
And it was just like, and I went back last time I was in Anchorage, was like I guess 2020, and so me and some friends like, hey, let's go back to this place. You know, I remember hating it then. It'll be fun, and like hatred just feels less bad in the past. And like now, I'm like, I just unnecessarily introduced anger and sadness into my life that I didn't need. It was unnecessary.
That's very profound. Thanks for listening, folks. We have two more episodes left of this season. Next up is the hit book and movie Aquamarine. I'm so excited. It's based off a book, Beau. Did you know?
I
It's
didn't.
it's like a book made for 8-year-olds and it's so small, like less than 100 pages. Fun time. Anyways, look out for the last two episodes. If you're curious about what episodes we're doing in season three, I am currently planning and I'm giving out little spoilers and sneak peeks on my Instagram. So go follow us at Read the Book First Podcast on Instagram. Also, remember to subscribe, share the podcast with your friends, and rate us 5 stars. But if it's not 5 stars, you don't have to worry about it. Thanks for listening. And remember, read the book first.